Recently, I talked about a relationship I had with a mentor in my life who really let me down. But in looking back at that story, more mature now in my life, part of what I also had to recognize was it wasn't just my friend who let me down. It was actually my illusions that I carried about him that failed me. And I think this becomes really important as we want to be more mature, both in our relationships with important people in our lives, but also equally in our faith journey. Because I think a lot of the time we carry around illusions about who Jesus is that don't line up with who we encounter in the Gospels. And the longer we hold on to those illusions about Jesus, well, then the more likely it is that they are eventually going to let us down. And if we don't mark the difference between who Jesus is and our imagination of what we want him to be, that's going to be very difficult to hold on to our faith when those illusions inevitably fail us. A number of years ago, someone who was really important in my life, very instrumental in my career, someone who'd been a mentor to me really, had a very public downfall. And at first, it was all very painful for me. Like somehow this was a betrayal of me, like they had let me down, like I had lost something very important in all this. Over time, though, in that process of grief and forgiveness and even reconciliation, part of what I had to realize was the only thing that I had lost were my own illusions. My friend didn't change that day. He was still the same person that I cared about, still the same person that had taken a lot of time to invest in me. He didn't all of a sudden become flawed. The truth was he always was. And so at least part of what I was mourning in that moment wasn't really the loss of my friend. It was the loss of some artificially manufactured persona that I had bought into. And sure, some of that was created and projected by my friend, but if I'm honest, at least as much of it was constructed and projected by me onto him. Everything I wanted to see in him, everything I wanted in a friend, everything that I thought I deserved in a mentor. I had built him up into something that he wasn't, and it came back to burn me. Jesus seems to want to go out of his way to destroy all of the illusions we build for ourselves about him. And that's not because Jesus is flawed. It's not because Jesus is going to let us down. That's not what I'm saying here. What I'm saying is that our illusions about Jesus, those inevitably will. The ways that we want him to be fearless and untouchable, or the ways we want him to be the perfect leader, never misunderstood by anyone, always getting the best out of those around him. Those fantasies inevitably will fail us. And so Jesus decides instead to call us back to Jesus at his most vulnerable, opening up about all his fears. To Jesus at his most misunderstood, even by his closest friends. To Jesus at his most graceful, inviting even his own betrayer to come and sit and eat with him. I think Jesus calls us back to this moment so that we might, just like the disciples were forced to that night, let go of all of our illusions about Jesus. Perhaps even so that we might be forced to let go of our illusions that we could ever police who is worthy of being invited to sit at the table with Jesus. I mean, trust me, if Judas was welcome there, I promise you are as well. The table is where we're called to let go of a lot.